Punctuation, prosody, and syntax are essential to make a language understandable. Altering these elements can change the meaning of a sentence, even when the same words are being used. A similar concept applies to music. In this context, punctuation has two main functions: to divide the larger whole into smaller organized sections, and to provide a specific quality and function to each of these groups. As in language, a comma has a different function than a full stop, a nuanced approach is also possible in music. This is achieved by changes in harmony, rhythm, melody, texture, and dynamics. Usually, at least two of these elements need to be intentionally modified in order to create punctuation. For this episode, I try to apply this concept in an exercise. The requirement is to write a phrase for string quartet. It has to end with a sudden dynamic change combined with a rhythmic stop. I also had to write some variations of this phrase, ending in the same general way, but with different degrees of punctuation. Here's the first version. And here's the second version of the ending. As you can see, they both end with a similar cadence. So what makes them different? In this case, the main reason is the melodic development of soprano and bass lines. The soprano resolves stepwise in both cases. However, in the first case, it resolves to the tonic. In the second case, the soprano ends on the third grade of the chord, while the tonic is played in an inner voice, considerably less prominent in the mix. The bass plays a major role in differentiating the two cadences. In the first case, it resolves by leaping from the fifth to the tonic. In the second version, it moves stepwise, ending on the third grade of the chord. As you can hear, the second version is way less final, both because of the note it lands on and because of the stepwise motion. These differences are reinforced by other slighter changes in dynamics and rhythm in the two versions. Let's hear the two endings once more. Since the second phrase doesn't sound final, I try to invent a continuation. In this case, the ending of the first phrase is the beginning of a new one, in a form of punctuation called elision. For the third version, I try to end on the dominant. This should create a sense of expectation in the listener. Even though the punctuation is quite strong, the harmony makes it clear that this is probably not the ending of the piece. Finally, for the last version, I try to create an elision once again, but with a different character. With this exercise, I have only been scraping the surface of the topic. As you can imagine, depending on the context, the style, and the intention of the composition, punctuation can take several shapes and forms. In this case, I was limited by the specific guidelines of the exercise, but with more freedom to change any element any way you want, the possibilities are really endless. That's it for this episode. As usual, feel free to leave me any feedback in the comments, and see you in the next one.